Yo, what up guys, Corey Sandhagen here. Today we're going to talk about the awesome fight between Holloway and Poirier. Obviously a few things to talk about. We're going to talk about how kind of Poirier's guard works a little bit. Some of the things that Max did really well in order for me, in my opinion, that changed the fight big time. Really tiny things, but really awesome things. Video sponsored by Aries. Let's crack into it. All right, cool, let's get started. Elias, I'll use you real quick. Okay, so a couple really awesome things that Max did. Obviously, the first one that was, it definitely seemed like it was worked into the game plan, a little bit outside of what we kind of see a lot from Max. So let's talk about that first, which is gonna be the open side kick to the body as Poirier is throwing his backhand or as he just takes one step in, okay? So Max knows that Poirier launches this and this sucks, okay? A lot of time in fighting, especially when you can kick each other, which is a really big deal because kicks, whether you block them or not, really suck to get hit by, okay? In your arms, whatever. So this can be a really good idea. Fuck, I'm losing my train of thought, god damn it. A lot of what we can do in martial arts, especially when we have kicks involved, is not only can I make it so that I'm hard to counter, but I can also make it so that if you throw something, I can deter you from wanting to do that by hurting you with something at the same time, okay? Which just takes something off of the table, and that's a really big deal. If you're fighting someone that is really good at using a shotgun and you're like, hey, you don't get to use your shotgun anymore when we're playing Call of Duty, like, you're gonna be in some trouble, maybe, assuming that you don't really know how to use the other things. So this is Poirier's shotgun. He does a really good job of killing people with this thing, okay? And then a lot of the time he'll go hook after, and that sucks, okay? Max did a really awesome job of any time Poirier would throw this, Max would throw this type of kick, but it would almost be back, like he was like, almost like switching back, but he would rocket this kick and come back to his stance. A couple big things with this, all right? If I'm Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier I know is not gonna wrestle me, this is a super good idea. The problem with kicking backwards, although Max did it like a master, so he definitely practiced a lot, but the problem with kicking backwards is that you can get really off balance or someone can just like catch and push you over a lot. So if Dustin's throwing this and he's thinking takedown, it can be like I'm just a little bit off balance, okay? What kept Max on balance though and gave him confidence outside of him knowing that Poirier is probably not gonna wrestle him is when Max kicks with this backhand, I like it. It looks like a little bit different. Like it's not like one of these heavy hipped like Muay Thai type of kicks where I'm going really round. He kind of throws it with his right shoulder back a little bit here so that he can come back into his stance a lot quicker. That's a really good idea in MMA. The reason is because these types of kicks, they're pretty easy to see. Like the movement is here, where if I just snap my kick and I leave my back shoulder back, they're like significantly harder to see. So Max throws it like that for the most part. There were some that he definitely hipped in on, but for the most part, he's like here, just using his bone to hit other bone. So anytime Poirier would throw that, Max would just chop that body, and those looked like they sucked. And that's like a really, really hard kick to pull off. Like that's like a super advanced move. Like I said, probably a good idea if you know that the other guy's not gonna wrestle, just because it is really easy to get pushed off balance or have someone catch your kick if that is what they're looking for, okay? That was one awesome thing that Max did. The other awesome thing, and I feel like this was when Max really started to take over, although it was a phenomenal fight, but Max found a lot of success when he just started going on into the closed side of Poirier. So what I mean by that is, yeah, you're lefty. When Max started just going like this to the outside, which happened a number of times, it kind of shut a lot of what Poirier does, not all the way down, but it made it a little bit, it gave Poirier another thing to think about, okay? If I'm gonna fight someone on a line like this and just be like, okay, who's the better athlete, who has better timing, who can trick who better, that's great. But if I'm like, hey, I want this guy's feet to move a little bit, I want him to think, I want him to not always be able to time me coming in and all of that stuff, all I have to do is just throw a little bit of a double jab to the outside, and I'm good. okay? I double jab, or Max was double jabbing and then just landing his cross a few times, but it was happening more towards the end of the fight. Once I think that like some of that excited energy got out of him a little bit, and he was like, okay, let me maybe like just kind of focus on getting these points down so that I can kind of force Poirier to move his feet a little bit. That way he's not as dangerous by just being set and throwing punches, okay? So that was, I think, where Max Holloway shined, is on that kick, boom. And when he does kick, like I said again, boom, he's leaving his head in the same spot and kicking here. It's not a big lean back with this shoulder coming forward like how you usually see, okay? As well as just beating the outside foot every once in a while just to give Poirier something to think about, and making it so that he doesn't get to sit down every single time and just be like, now's the time, boom, boom. If someone's circling, I have to be like, now I can go, okay? So that was really important. Poirier, obviously, legend. Congrats to him retiring, all that stuff. Poirier does a super good job with his guard, but let's talk about maybe just how it works, okay? So I'll be Poirier. He uses his guard really good to catch shots moving backwards where it's gonna be really hard for someone to hit him. I talk about this all the time in the instructionals and stuff. You have to have a malleable guard. Your guard does not work like this in MMA or really in boxing either. I don't get to just cover myself up because one, the gloves are really small, but two, like good guys are gonna find the openings. When I'm like this, Elias can find something, you know, like there's things to be seen. He could strip my arm the way that he just did, boom, and hit me. He could just hit me down the pipe because there's not gonna be that much. And then if I start going here, he could start going around. And you just have to have a guard that moves really good. And Poirier does it really, not awkwardly, but it's just different than how most guys do it. Not so much in boxing, but when Poirier is here and people are punching him, he's really good, especially on this right hand, of catching like this, which I think is a really good idea. Boom. He'll catch like this. If he's throwing multiple punches, Poirier will kind of like just use his guard really weird, but he's just kind of I call it like kung fu guard. Like I'm literally being like, except it's a little bit more closer to my body and less like obviously kung fu-y, but it's really good and it works, okay? So when Poirier is doing that, the hardest part about a lot of this though is because my arms are in such awkward spots, is it's really hard for me to try to find my counters on things, so I'm left to only defending myself and not being able to throw a ton of offense, okay? So Poirier kind of, you know, like when Max would attack and he would defend himself with his weird guard, there's not a lot of like stuff that I can do really from here like this. And especially if I'm on my back foot and just kind of being okay with it, which Dustin also does, is, go ahead again. He'll kind of just like fall back, reset, and then start again, okay? So that can kind of be a interesting like way to have to play that game, is to try to figure out, okay, like if I'm gonna guard myself weird and rotate weird, where are my counters and stuff on that? So yeah, so that was pretty much the fight. Max kicking the open side body, the open side body, which was awesome. Max kind of taking over, in my opinion, a little bit more towards the end when he was going towards the lead and making Poirier be like, now I can hit you, okay? He didn't do it a ton, but if you just give someone else something to think about, those types of things, especially under fatigue later in the rounds, can compound. And then also Poirier's guard and just kind of how it works and all of that stuff. So like, subscribe, comment, peace. I love you guys. Bye.